Two people, same 24 hours, same world. One makes $40,000 a year. The other makes $40,000 in a single week. And the difference between them has nothing to do with how hard they work. In fact, the person making less is almost certainly working harder. More hours, more stress, more exhaustion. The person making more has simply figured out something the other one hasn't yet. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what that is. Let's get into it. First, let's destroy the biggest lie you were ever told about money. Work hard, show up early, stay late, and eventually it will pay off. Millions of people have followed this advice faithfully for decades and ended up with nothing to show for it except a tired body and a modest paycheck. Hard work is not the problem. The direction of that hard work is. There's a concept called the time for money trap. You trade hours for dollars. Your income has a ceiling because your hours have a ceiling. You cannot work 200 hours a week, which means no matter how hard you grind inside this trap, you will hit a wall every single time. The entire game of making serious money is about escaping that trap, not working harder inside it. So, how do you escape it? It starts with understanding leverage. Think of a lever. If you push close to the fulcrum, you lift the weight a little. If you push at the far end, you send it into the air with the same effort. Most people are pushing close to the fulcrum their entire careers and wondering why nothing moves. Leverage is the distance between your effort and your result. The further out you push, the more your effort multiplies. There are 4 forms of leverage that actually build wealth, and every person making serious money is using at least one of them. The first is labor leverage, getting other people to do work for you. Every hour someone else works on your behalf is an hour you didn't have to trade. The wealthiest people in the world don't sell their time. They build systems where other people's time generates their income. You don't have to start with employees. Start with outsourcing one task. 1 hour freed up is 1 hour you can redirect toward higher leverage activity. The second is capital leverage, putting money to work so money generates more money without your direct involvement. This is investing, real estate, owning assets that produce income while you sleep. $1 working for you around the clock is worth more than an hour of your labor because the dollar never gets tired. The third is code leverage, software, automation, artificial intelligence, a system you build once that runs forever without you touching it. An app, a tool, an automated process. Code is the closest thing to infinite leverage that exists. You do the work once, it works for you indefinitely. The fourth and most accessible form of leverage right now is media. A YouTube video, a piece of content, a post that reaches 10,000 people costs exactly the same effort as one that reaches 10. Media lets you communicate with massive numbers of people simultaneously. Instead of selling to one person at a time, you broadcast your value to thousands. The people building real wealth today understand that content is not just creative expression, it is leverage at scale. Now, here is where most people make the critical mistake. They try to apply leverage to a skill that the market barely values. Leverage amplifies what you already have, so before you think about scale, think about what you are actually selling. All money comes from one place: solving problems. Not showing up, not looking busy, not working long hours. Solving problems that people will pay to have solved. The size of the problem determines the size of the paycheck. A $10 problem pays $10. A $10 million problem pays very differently. So here is the question you need to ask yourself right now. What problem do I solve, and how big is that problem to the person experiencing it? If you can make someone lose 50 pounds in 10 weeks while eating food they actually enjoy, that is a massive problem solved, worth serious money. If you can increase a company's revenue by 10% through your expertise, and that company does $50 million a year, your 10% is $5 million. You are worth serious money to that company. This is why who you sell to matters as much as what you sell. The same skill applied to a small local business versus a large corporation commands completely different prices. Same work, different room. Your skills are like a piece of land. Put them in the right auction and the price multiplies without the land changing at all. If this is clicking and you want a new money concept broken down like this every day, hit subscribe. This is what this channel does. Now back to it. Here's the next piece. Stop trying to be world-class at one thing. Build a skill stack instead. Most people spend years trying to master a single skill, hoping to reach the top 1%. The problem is, the competition at the top is brutal, and the earning gap between first and fourth place is staggering. But here's what almost nobody tells you. Good plus good often beats excellent. If you can write decently, understand basic psychology, and know how to market, you're more valuable than someone who is exceptional at only one of those three things, because you can do something they cannot. The combination is rare. Rare is valuable. Scott Adams, the creator of Dilbert, is not the world's best artist, not the funniest comedian, not the sharpest business mind, but he combined average art, average humor, and average business sense in a way almost nobody else had. The result was a globally syndicated comic strip that made him wealthy, not because any single skill was extraordinary, because the combination was unique. This is called talent stacking, and it is one of the underrated paths to making significantly more money. It also works faster than mastery. Due to diminishing returns, the deeper you go into any single skill, the harder it is to improve. Going from beginner to competent in a new skill takes months. Going from competent to world-class takes a decade. Stack 2 or 3 competencies together, and you enter a new field where barely anyone else exists. That is where opportunity lives. The skills worth stacking right now? Communication, marketing, understanding human psychology, basic business and finance, writing, sales. One skill amplifies every other one you have. Now, let's talk about pricing, because you can have the right skill, the right leverage, the right market, and still leave enormous money on the table by charging the wrong price. Here is a mindset shift that will immediately change your earning potential. People don't buy cheap things. People buy great deals. Price is what you pay. Value is what you get. The deal is the gap between the two. If someone genuinely believed you were handing them a Ferrari for $10,000, they would find the money, call family, use credit, take a loan, not because $10,000 is cheap, because a Ferrari is worth hundreds of thousands. Whenever someone says they cannot afford what you offer, they're telling you they do not yet understand the value. Your job is not to lower the price. Your job is to close the gap between what they think it's worth and what it's actually worth. This means you should always have an offer that makes people gasp, something priced so high it reframes everything else on your menu. If your most expensive option is $100,000 and your next option is $10,000, $10,000 suddenly feels reasonable. This is price anchoring, and it is pure psychology that works every single time. And finally, the most important tactical shift you can make starting today. Apply the 80-20 rule to everything you do. 20% of your activities generate 80% of your results, which means 80% of what you do right now is producing almost nothing. Identify the highest leverage tasks in your work, the ones that actually move the needle, and eliminate, automate, or delegate everything else. When Steve Jobs returned to Apple, the company was drowning. The first thing he did was cut everything except the products generating 80% of the profits. He simplified ruthlessly. The company went on to become the most valuable in history, not because they did more, because they did less, better, on the things that actually mattered. Your time is the same. Audit your week. Find the 20% that produces real results. Protect that time like your financial life depends on it, because it does. Here is the complete picture. Escape the time for money trap by building leverage through people, capital, code, or media. Solve big problems for people who can pay for solutions. Stack complementary skills to create rare combinations the market will pay premium prices for. Price your work based on value delivered, not hours spent, and ruthlessly eliminate everything in your life that generates noise without generating results. The person on the other side of that thumbnail making $1 million in a month is not superhuman. They are not luckier than you. They simply stopped pushing close to the fulcrum and found the far end of the lever. That end was always available to you too. Now you know where it is.